Silent Command Stream. This is video 3 in our Basic Skills and Fundamentals series. This video we're going to be talking about the rebound. And the rebound is really the most important movement aspect, aside from the wrist flick, which we talked about in the previous video. And the reason that the rebound is so important is because it is what gets us to the ictus. It is what prepares us for showing the downbeat. So there are going to be 3 main points about the rebound that we need to emphasize. I'm going to write them down, then we're going to talk about them. So here's the rebound. Point number 1, we always want to have consistent rate of travel. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. Imagine that you're bouncing a basketball, right? Imagine that you're bouncing a basketball. Here's my little basketball. Woo-hoo. There's my basketball, right? So when I dribble it down to the ground, aka my ictus, when I dribble it down to the ground, how does it move in terms of speed or velocity? It's increasing as it gets closer to the ground, right? So I'm going to write increasing. So as it goes down towards the ground, the basketball increases in speed, right? Thing number 2, when it hits the ground, comes back up. What is it doing? It's moving away from the ground, so it is decreasing in speed. Well, you guessed it, the basketball and your hand are one and the same here. Anytime that you're approaching the ictus, you're increasing in speed. Then you contact the ictus and come back up, hand decreases in speed. And the way that we can make sure that that's happening is by taking videos of yourself, and is by taking a careful look at the way that your hands move. So check out my hands from the side here. 1. So you'll notice, as I do that, when my hands get closer to the ictus, they're speeding up and gravity is pulling them down. And that's going to be our second point. Consistent travel, gravity. So imagine that your hand is that basketball. Gravity is acting on it to pull it closer to the ground and closer to the ictus. And that is what gives it that consistent rate of motion as it increases. And then once we contact the ictus, decreasing as it goes up because gravity's still pulling on it as you come up, right? And of course we have the wrist flick right there that we talked about in our last video. You can head back and watch that if you want to check that out. So increases, decreases, gravity is acting on it, gravity is the chief motivator. Now let's talk about where we move from on the rebound. So we've talked about the actual rebound itself and the mechanical motion. Here's how we get there. We want 80% elbow, and 20% shoulder. And here's why we want that. You'll see a lot of drum majors, especially young conductors, that probably get told by their band directors to come out and go super extended, almost like Superman, right? We do not want that, because this is going to cause you to do this, right? Where you move entirely from the shoulder, and your arms are going to get tired, shoulders are going to get tired, and you're not going to be able to do that for very long, and you're not going to be able to do it at fast tempos. So the way that we move 80% elbow, 20% shoulder, is by minimizing the amount of circular travel that our elbow has. So watch me from the side and check out my elbow and see the amount of circular travel that my elbow has. It's not going to be very much, right? Here I'm just doing some wrist flicks, and you'll notice my elbow really does not move out from within this width of my body, right? So it's not going like super far out here or super far back here. All it's doing is staying in this nice, consistent little bubble right here. And that is because my elbow, like so, this joint, this hinge joint, is facilitating the majority of the motion, and the shoulder kind of acts as its backup. So there, it's not like my shoulder's totally still, but there is majority movement from the elbow. One exercise that you can do to check yourself out and to kind of develop that neural muscle memory of making sure that you're moving primarily from the elbow, and it's gonna look really silly, is to, I call it T-Rexing. T-Rex your elbows into your waist like this, and practice feeling, and I'm conducting a pattern we haven't talked about yet, but practice feeling this flick and feeling that elbow movement so that when you come out here, it's gonna be easier because you can move your shoulders a little bit. But when you come out here, you can get that natural elbow movement that trains you to have that perfect amount of elbow movement to shoulder movement, right? 80-20, and that is what gives you the clarity to execute this. Here's some things that we see that often go wrong with this. Sometimes you'll have what's called a hitch. And a hitch is when we emphasize something other than the downbeat, and when this movement has a little hiccup in it somewhere, right? So a lot of the times you'll see like an emphasis up here at the top of the rebound, and it'll be like this. So you can see here, I'm emphasizing the and what that does is creates too much noise and it makes the pattern difficult to read. So that's called a hitch. We do not want the hitch. Another thing that we often see is movement on the ictus other than just contacting and going back up. So something like this. So you can see that I'm kind of pausing on the ictus and stopping there for too long and then doing the hitch on top of that. So it's important that we have consistent travel and escape up from the ictus. Increase, decrease, then when we hit that apex up there, all we do is just turn right back around and go back down. Gravity is our chief motivator, and we have to have consistent travel. So when you pair your basic fundamental conducting position together that we talked about video 1, wrist flick from video 2, and this rebound in video 3, you're setting yourself up to have great fundamental motor skills so that when we put them in a pattern in the next video, it's going to look great. Thanks for tuning in. Check out video 4 for patterns and how to make them look good. See you next time.